This is Gamer Weekly, bringing you the latest of what the video game scene has to offer. On this episode of Gamer Weekly, I have Cukia and Ben from Nyamakop, and we're going to be talking about their latest game, Semblance. Alright, and welcome back to another episode of Gamer Weekly. This is Justin, and I am with Cukia and Ben from Nyamakop. I got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trust it.
Oh man, I've been trying to get it right for like the past 10 minutes. So thank you guys so much for coming onto the show. And how are things?
They're good. We're in Sweden right now at this like indie games residency in the woods, an undisclosed location with like 20 to 30 other game developers making games. It's been pretty fun so far. It's cool.
And you guys just showcased, and I say just showcased, it's July now, and E3 was a couple of weeks ago, but you showed it off Semblance at E3, and it seemed to have gotten a lot of buzz from a lot of the gaming press. So how does that feel?
Yeah, it feels pretty great. We kind of were lucky to get a spot to show thanks to Devolver Digital and Indie Mega Booth. And we tried to book press beforehand to come show, see the game, and it wasn't looking too good. And we kind of went there without much press plan to book, and sort of out of nowhere we managed to get some pretty big mentions on some big sites, so that was pretty cool and unexpected.
So for those that don't know what Semblance is, like, what is the game about?
So Semblance is a puzzle platform where the world is made of Play-Doh, which means that the platforms themselves can be deformed to help you solve the problem. So if you can't reach a collectible or something like that, you can just deform a bit of the environment up, and therefore the platform itself will be a bit higher, and when you jump off that platform again, it's now easier to reach that collectible. So it just really takes the concept of a platform in a platformer and turns it on its head. It makes you think about the assumptions you have about the genre in a completely different way. So, yeah.
I guess you could say it changes the world.
Wow, yeah. That's good. That's a good way to put it.
It's my little one-liner.
Yeah.
So what made you guys want to go with like a Play-Doh world? Were there other type of worlds that you were trying to go for, and they were like, let's try this one. This one seems to work.
That's actually a pretty funny story. The game was revolved around the character changing shape and size. Like it would get flatter or get a bit taller. And then while we were making one of the platforms that you couldn't squash yourself against, a bug happened. So you'd keep hitting the ground and it would keep going in. And at that moment, I was like, oh, that's a funny bug. Threw that onto Twitter, giggled a bit, and then I just get a little notification from Ben here, and he's like, Sugar, you got to make that happen. And I was like a bit sad because the tech was a bit difficult, but, you know, I came through.
He came through. And
that's how we ended up with the Play-Doh-like stuff. And then I think from there, the game just naturally evolved into something more fun to, like, work around and keep building.
So does one do all of like the programming and the other does like the art and everything for it, or do you guys kind of just do both like hand in hand basically?
So Cukia does all the programming and production and also some of the business stuff on the game. I do game design and marketing, and then we have an artist back in South Africa who does the art and animation, and then a sound designer and a musician who contract on the game to do everything else basically. But yeah, it's basically just 5 people in total.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool team that we're working with, and we're fortunate enough to work with a completely local team from South Africa, so that was great. And what Ben didn't mention is that sometimes he likes to write some code. So.
Sometimes. Sugar does some design too as well, but you know.
But those were the main focuses that we do.
So what were some of the comments that were made about the game while you guys were at E3?
Yeah, so there was some really good feedback. I think people really seem to love the art style as well, which isn't really it's something we thought about quite specifically, but we were always surprised to see to the extent of which people enjoy it. Like the minimalist and pink art style seems to really strike people as being unique and different, and sort of stands out from a whole bunch of screenshots, which is really important. We really think unique art styles are really important to stand out from other games. And then obviously a lot of people just find the game very inventive and weird and wonderful. They really love how it forces them to think about the genre of platforming in a different way. So that's the sort of comments you've had. People also like the sound effects and the jiggliness of the world, as well as the just general responsiveness of the controls. So we really have a great set of comments across the board about the game, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
It's cool.
So that's.
I mean, it's a lot different from where we came from.
it's true.
But yeah, people really enjoying the game.
I'm just imagining people like tweeting out like, "Man, this Semblance game, some nice jiggles," and I'm like,
"Oh yeah, yeah." That should be the official company tweets. Semblance, some nice jiggles, coming 2018. That's good.
That's gonna be in the trailer.
Yeah, definitely.
If you guys actually just put "nice jiggles" Gamer Weekly in the trailer.
Oh, so good. That's good. That's good stuff.
I'm gonna totally forget that it happened too, and I'm gonna see the trailer and go, "What?"
What?
And then I'd just be like, "They mentioned me." Yay!
Yay!
So is this your guys' first E3?
It is, yeah. It's all kind of our first thing. This game, Semblance, is our first game out of university, so we've kind of been traveling a lot more than we expect to. We did our first PAX East. Somehow we got into E3. So yeah, it's kind of been our first everything. It's been crazy.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it is our first commercial game, but it's not our first game. We've done it a few times, just without less pressure to make money.
True, very true. I think there's a lot of pressure to make money. Our E3 was actually all in the car park of Hooters. I don't know if you know that, Justin. There's some trivia for you. Devolver Digital's lot was all in the car park of Hooters. So we were just there across from these gigantic AAA banners for those, the newest Far Cry, and sitting there in the car park of Hooters trying to convince press to write about our game. It was quite an experience.
You're like, please, just play it.
Please. Yeah. Don't go into Hooters. Just play our game.
Play our game, please.
Yeah.
Like, is there pretty good indie support at E3? Like, is it just kind of like off to the
E3,
corner?
Yeah, E3 is not really the best indie show, I think. So if you've heard of Indiecade, which is a Los Angeles-based festival, they also have a version in New York and Europe now. But they have they're an independent games festival, and the Electronic Software Association, which runs E3, gave them space for free. So there's a bunch of indies inside E3, but we weren't part of that. Devolver Digital is like an indie publisher, and they had a site off. They had an off-site lot in a car park that they just set up all these trailers for their games, and we just happened to get some space from them. So it was kind of, the contrast and juxtaposition between indie games versus the massive AAA games at E3 usually is quite big. It's definitely not common to have that many indie games at E3 for sure.
So what are you guys going to release the game on? Is it just going to be PC, or are you going for like console release as well?
So we're heading for PC and one other unannounced console platform. That's the plan, and we're pretty sure we're going to hit that goal.
And at some point we'll come to
all the
consoles.
platforms.
Yeah.
And then come out on the Xbox One XX triple no scope.
Yep.
Yeah.
Triple X, no scope, 1X, Bokes.
Yeah. All of those. All of them.
Nice. So, do you have advice for people that maybe like next year would go to E3? Like, what were some of the learning things that you didn't realize was going to happen for E3?
I think it's kind of impossible to convince press to book time to play your game before E3 because everyone's just trying to play the next best AAA game. So I think you really just have to hustle press when you're actually at the show. So you got to leave your booth and just go find press to play your game. They all have this key card that's hanging off their neck that's a specific color, which is a blaring beacon of light that you have to look for. And once you find them, you just got to pitch your game and try and get them to come play. That's one of the biggest pieces of advice I have for other independent game developers going to E3 is you just have to make it happen. If you manage to get to E3, journalists aren't there for indie games necessarily, so you just got to keep pitching people when you're actually at the show and try and get lucky, pretty much.
I feel like I'm the only person that would actually go to the indie games now, because anytime I see
it's really about the show. It depends.
Because I'll be honest, I feel like when they showed off all the AAA games, there wasn't anything that I was like, man, I gotta play that. I mean, there were some that I'm gonna play it, but it's not like, oh man, I'm gonna go out of my way. I feel like definitely Devolver and stuff were showing things that I was way more interested in, because I was like, oh, this looks like something I haven't played yet. So
definitely, I feel the same. I guess that's kind of why we're making independent games, because we want to make something fresh and interesting.
Yep.
Having said that, though, Nintendo games at E3 were pretty hot. That XCOM Mario Rabbids game and Super Mario Galaxy was magical. They're basically indies, very, very big indies.
Yeah, because I like the way that Nintendo is basically getting a lot of indie support too. Because right now on the Nintendo Switch, you're either playing Breath of the Wild, or you're playing some indie game that you found. You're like, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it might be weird. I downloaded, I think it's called Thumper, and
oh, cool.
Yeah, it's like a horror rhythm game, which I didn't think was a thing, but it was definitely weird. I will say that it was a weird game. But if you haven't checked it out yet, I recommend it.
It's really cool.
Yeah, Nintendo has been very good about reaching out to indies. We've met a lot of people from Nintendo, so hopefully something will happen there for us.
Hint. Maybe.
Nudge. Yeah. Nintendo, if you're listening, give us a call. Our number is +27 83 397 8725. Thank you. Call me.
You got to use the WhatsApp though on your phone, or else you're gonna get charged a lot.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, just WhatsApp call me. Thanks, Nintendo.
Oh my God! I actually just recently learned how to call out of country, and it's a lot weird. It's a really weird setup. I don't know who thought of it, but I'm so glad that we use Skype now. I'm glad I never had to contact anybody outside of the country.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Thank God for email.
Yeah, seriously. How would I even set up this show if I didn't have email?
I know.
I would just get a lot of angry phone calls from the studio manager, why are you calling Sweden right now? It's $1 a minute. What?
What's happening? What's going on? It makes no sense.
So I'm trying to think of something because I just lost my train of thought. It's a usual. So if you're new to the show, hey, I always lose my train of thought. But so for Semblance, I guess my final question here is, what is the game mean to you? And if you have advice for people making games, what would you tell them?
I think for me, what it means is to finally feel you've gone out there and tried to do the indie thing, and finishing. I think finishing is what I'm looking forward to, because I feel like finishing is definitely the hardest part. Because you pass the prototype phase where everything's new and exciting, and then after that it's just bugs and bugs and bugs, and Ben waking me up in the morning and be yeah, so we found another bug, so, and I think at that point that's where you have to really feel you want to do this and keep going. So any advice I would give is cross the finish line.
Yeah, definitely. I think for both of us, we've really made a lot of games, but this is the first one we were both really committed to trying to finish. And so that's a big deal. And I think also for us, it's really important to, not try and make a masterpiece on your first game, not try and spend 5-10 years making the one best game. Just make a game that, does okay, is, good, and allows you to keep working on games.
And getting better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about getting better. Not just make something that, you need 5 to 10 years part-time, or, you basically spend your whole life making, and then it's not as good as it could have been. So if you just have a short development cycle and release the game, you'll get better and better with each new launched game, I think.
Because I think, like Ben's saying, doing more games means you finish more. And finishing, I 100% think that's a very key part of anything, of making games.
So just make sure you finish it. Don't nitpick, just finish it.
Yeah.
Like, make compromises to finish it. Like, I think that's important.
Because I think if you go with the idea that nothing's ever perfect, you can get to the end. I mean, I won't forget, there's a game I worked on. It's called Boxer. Won the Amaze Award the first time. And one of the things in the game is that we had sprites that we didn't actually scale properly. So they looked weird. So the arms looked super long. And that was something that we were always meant to fix. But like once you started doing like showing it at festivals, people were like, oh man, I love the way the arms are. They look so funny. And so you get to that point where you may think it's like it needs to get fixed. But once you start putting it out in the wild, you'd find that a lot of people give you a little bit of leeway. Everyone understands what's happening. I mean, if on the whole point, it's like it's a good game, you're fine. You can always get better, and that's what the sequel is for.
Exactly.
So you go from your puzzle game. So what you're saying is Semblance 2 is going to be a open world survival crafting game.
It's gonna with zombies. Ooh. And MMO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With an option of first person.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a new feature.
That's definitely a new feature, but it will be a DLC.
Okay, that's fine then.
Early access.
Yes.
Yeah, early access as well.
For 10 years. Gotta get it right.
So, thank you guys for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having us, Justin.
And anyone out there listening, follow the show, like, comment, subscribe, the usual YouTuber lingo, I guess, what all the other cool kids are saying these days.
Click on the link below.
Yeah.
Go to my Patreon. Just kidding.
Should be right beneath my face right now.
Yeah, clickety clack the like. Oh God, I can't even say that. Ugh, that's. I'm not like I want people to like my show, but I don't want it to be desperate about it. Like if you like it, great. If you don't, well, that's great too. At least you tried. So yeah, listen to. I'm on everything. So if you like listening on SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, your mom's toaster, it's on everything. So the toaster one was a little hard to do, but RSS feeds, they go everywhere. So.
Fantastic.
Thank you guys so much for listening. And once again, thank you guys again for being on the show. I greatly appreciate it. And everyone should go check out Semblance when it comes out.
Yep.
Go buy it.
Do it.
Do it.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.